Can you hear me okay, Jaser and Jaden? The music's pretty quiet. Okay, cool. All right, so we are having a restorative self-care day today in Core Fitness. So I apologize in advance if I am coughing into the mic since I have a chest cold. It's not COVID, thank you vaccines. Big breath in. But so let's think about what do we do? Big exhale. And as I exhale, I'm drawing my belly in just to wake up the core, lifting up through my pelvic floor. And exhale. So what do you do when you don't feel good? Sometimes, you don't do anything. You just lay in bed and let your body do the work of healing. But if you have just, a cold, sometimes getting the blood to move around your body can really feel healing. Can lessen body aches if you have a mild cold that's making you feel achy. So as we're moving today, it's a very simple movement, right? We could do this with almost no effort. But let's try and really reach through our fingers and try to stay conscious of lifting in our pelvic floor. And go gently dropping your head, articulating the spine, and rolling down. And keep those legs soft, but just soften them, so walking in place. You don't have to be all the way down if you want. You can put your hands on your thighs. And try and breathe. And drop your hips behind you. And roll halfway up and just let your arms circle. So they're gently stretching between the shoulder blades. Get a little bit lower. And softly shake your head no. And yes. Drop those hips and roll up. Big breath in. And step wide. Just roll the shoulders back. Just shift our weight. And since we're moving so slowly and gently, we really have the time to remain conscious of our soft Pilates scoop and of lifting up through that pelvic floor. Let the arms come up. Find yourself in the center and just pull those shoulder blades back, pressing your heart forward, warming the upper back. And take those hands forward, interlock them, flip the hands through, palms out, and stretch between your shoulder blades. And let your hands and your chest dip a little forward and sway your body slowly side to side. Letting it breathe. It should feel nice. And drop your head and shoulders, sway them back up. Take those shoulders and squeeze them all the way up to your ears as tight as you can, really making it tight in the neck. Tight, 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 tight. Breathe in. Exhale, drop it. 2 more times, just that. One more time. And let's turn our knees out to the side. And just gently rock. Come down in the center and sway through your pelvic clock. 12, neutral 6, neutral 12, neutral 6, neutral 12. Come right down in the middle. Let's just build a little heat, staying nice and still. So you're definitely in a deep squat, lifting up through your pelvic floor, soft Pilates scoop. Big deep breath, letting your thighs warm. And let your hands take the weight of your upper body and just drop down a little bit. Remember, we're not really warm yet, so this shouldn't be a deep stretch yet. We're just saying hello and come out of it gently. All right, let's step back a moment, big breath in. We're gonna take it over to the right side. I'm gonna grab one shoulder or one hand with the other there and pull nice and long. Opening up the side body, latissimus dorsi and serratus muscles in between your ribs. Inhale brings you up and reach over the other side. Inhale up. Back to that first side. Try and be flat. So shoulders and hips on the same plane. And then go ahead and curve it forward. And you feel how that changes from the side to a little bit of the back stretching. Take it down to the center and roll it back up. Big breath in. And over to the other side. Let me adjust where my mic is. It's getting caught. There we go. So straight to the side first. Remember to breathe. And then curve your upper body and take it over to the front just a little. Hold it there, pressing into the floor. And down center. Just hang there and shake out your hands. Looseness in the wrists, looseness in the fingers. Jiggle those shoulders and stack it back up. Big breath in. We're gonna reach over to the right side. We're gonna curve down to the center. Curve over to the left side and reach through the left. Rebound right and then start to the left. And as you come through center, bend your knees over to the right side. We're making a great big windmill. Slow and long. Lifting gently through the abdomen. And coming back to the center. Roll those shoulders back. Find your hands behind you. Pop the chest forward. Soften your knees. Drop the chest. Let the hands pass your chest. Hold on tight with your hands. And let your whole torso fall forward. Onto your thighs, your legs can be bent. And the weight of your hands is opening up the front of your chest. Take those hands to your hips. Release them down to the side. And walk on down to the floor. Go ahead and lay all the way on your mat for a 5-second nap. Lift in your core. Lift in your scoop. Lengthen to 12 o'clock. And release your 12 o'clock. Release your pelvic wall. Release your floor. Lift floor. Scoop. 12 o'clock. Neutral. Relax. Drop. Lift floor. Scoop. 12 o'clock. Neutral. Relax and drop. Floor. Scoop. 12 o'clock. Neutral. Relax and drop. Go ahead and come on up to your shoulders, or to your elbows, into the Sphinx pose. And we're going to roll our shoulders back in this place. Squeeze your shoulders back, press your heart forward, and lift your chin. It feels to me like up and back, almost like I'm trying to draw my jaw behind my ears. And that gives me a really nice long neck. And then lift your scoop and lift your lower back, lengthening through the lower back, and just hang out in this Sphinx pose here. Can you incrementally get that Sphinx pose a little more refined? So we're not moving actively through this. We're really just, you can even close your eyes and feel your way through this pose. Lifting up your pelvic floor, lengthening your lower back, drawing your shoulder blades together, lengthening the back of the neck towards the sky, and finding your breath. And just that should create plenty of heat. Can you press through your forearms from your elbows to your fingertips? And find your breath. Go ahead and let it down. And we're going to lift our Pilates scoop and our pelvic floor in, and then we're going to lift our legs. So it's just like you're doing a kick in a swimming pool. And notice how lifting your legs rocks your pelvis from left to right. So all we're going to do is keep it super small and see if you can swim kick without moving your pelvis. That's all. Just reach out through those toes like you're trying to scribble on the wall behind you. So you're just waking up the hips a little bit, waking up the glutes. Tiny motions, let most of the effect be on your own mental gaze inside, so you're really thinking about how it feels to do this action rather than worrying about doing it fast or hard. And release that, shake it up. We're going to come back up to our Sphinx. We're going to very slowly and gently bend the leg and look behind yourself and notice, does your leg happen to bend out or in? Everybody usually has some silly thing that their leg does, and often the legs don't do the same thing. So look behind and see if you can, starting with your legs nice and together, if you can bend one leg just right straight up. See, look how mine goes? That's not straight, is it? Right straight up and lower it back down. Right straight up and lower it back down. Right straight up and lower it back down. And try the other side. Just letting yourself feel in this slowness. Go ahead and pull up both legs on your next trial and see what happens. I have a feeling my feet are gonna go click without me meaning to. So I'm gonna try not to let the heels kiss. Just slow, working through that alignment. Go ahead and lift up and curve back. Pressing back with your hands so that your tailbone comes down to your heels. Some people just flop back here. For me, I have to put some pressure in to get that lower back opening. And then let yourself slowly rock from side to side. Be careful with your knees. Some people's knees are really not comfortable being this folded, so it's okay to come up higher if your knees don't like this position. We're going to come on up. And again, if your knees don't like to be in this position, it's okay to sit crisscross applesauce or even with your legs out like that. But I'm going to do this next version seated on my heels, and this is a gyrotonics exercise, and so all we're going to do is really snake the back in a few different directions. Big breath in first, and we're going to start by rolling the head down. So we're articulating the spine. We're letting the whole spine from the base of your skull, where your spine begins, or ends all the way down to your tailbone curve. Keeping your weight in your base here. And then I'm going to start arching it up. So it's just like a body roll and dance. I'm starting with my neck, then my shoulders, then my middle back, and then my lower back. And the idea here is to articulate the spine. So that means instead of moving a whole section of your back at once, you're trying to find the finesse to move one vertebrae at a time. So go as slowly as you need to really feel that you're thinking first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10, 11, 12 of the thoracic spine, and then the bottom 5 of your lumbar spine, curve forward, and then cervical spine, your neck spine starts to arch, and then your thoracic spine, where your rib cage is, and then your lower back. And just find that swirl. And as you start to warm up all the little muscles that connect between each set of vertebrae, you might move a little tiny bit more quickly. But mostly let it be slow motion. One more time through. Bringing your attention back to your breath. It's all too easy to just hold our breaths. But life is much easier when we breathe through it. Let's come off of our feet. Crisscross applesauce. And try the same idea, but you're gonna lean to the side. Really explore what it feels like to go to the side. And then slowly bring it back up. Go all the way over to the other side. Respecting those tight spots wherever they may turn up. Coming over to the right side, slide your hand directly out to the side. So it's neither in front by your knee or behind you, because that would rotate your rib cage, and we want to be straight to the side for this next part. We're going to take this arm, this is your left arm, up above your head, and feel that lift of the shoulder blade add to the side stretch. Yeah? Go ahead and lengthen your head, neck, and spine so that you then feel like you're on a diagonal, and then feel if your hip has risen off the floor and anchor that hip back down. So you're in a diagonal, straight spine. From here, we're going to take the arm up and reach it long, 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 long away to the left side of the room. In fact, before we go there, let's take this arm, rotate the palm to the back of the room, like you're going to put your palm on the back of the room, on the wall, and slide it around down behind you. And then go ahead and relax the neck and head towards the shoulder. So two things will start to happen. Your neck is going to start to stretch here. And if you're really reaching back with that arm, you'll have an added stretch in your armpit. I can't even feel that yet. Let's go ahead and take your hand down to the floor and come up halfway. Just enjoy that side. off your hips and allow you to like melt forward into this stretch rather than feeling pulled back. Go ahead and come up, switch sides, reaching out, dropping that arm, dropping your head and just resting. Big deep breaths. Notice while you're in this position, do you happen to push out with your belly and down into your pelvic floor rather than just supporting your organs? So nothing tight, nothing restrictive, but just think about, like, are you bearing down rather than lifting gently in? See if you can lift softly, gently in just a little bit, like 15% effort. And the reason there is mostly just because we want to break that habit of pushing down through our pelvic floor. And build the habit of supporting our internal organs. Go ahead and come back up. All right, one more spine. Notice we're working from the top down. So the last one we're going to do is start to twist, freestyle arms, whatever feels good. You can keep them low and your shoulders soft. You can lift them up and feel a little more free. All right, we're going to put our right fingertips on the floor and we're going to take our left hand and we're going to do thread the needle. So here's your needle up here on your left hand and you're going to thread it. I guess this is your thread and you're putting it through the eye of the needle. So we're going to drop our head down, round past that knee and look underneath your own armpit. Come back up, switch sides. And again, a little conscious thought towards that question of whether you're supporting your internal organs or bearing down. And choose lift. Found some surprise tight spots in there today. Let's go ahead and come down to our backs. I'm going to start bringing our elbows together up above your heart. So we're not bringing them together down here, but we're thinking about them being up, maybe even above your chin, yeah? And just begin creating a little warmth by squeezing those elbows together. And you can take some inventory on your core. Can you lift your pelvic floor and soften your belly inwards? And you're squeezing your elbows together, which really is opening up your back behind your rib cage and behind your shoulder blades. And that's where you want to breathe into the space. So squeezing your elbows together, breathing into your back. And go ahead and open those elbows out now and see if you can put your elbows on the floor at least as high as your shoulders and just relax the palms out. So you're in a cactus tree position there. Yeah, on the floor, letting your chest soften. And just breathe into that upper back, feeling your lift through your pelvic floor, keeping your Pilates scoop softly engaged, and trying to get breath and movement into the rib cage. Long neck. Your jaw should feel like it's softening towards the floor behind you, so release any tension that's in that jaw if there is any. And I'm going to now point my toes and just gently let my knees rock over to one side, to the right, and just let your hips and waist relax a little bit here. Big deep breaths. And gently roll your hips back center. Let your hips go to the other side, hips and knees. And letting the top leg cross a little bit. Pardon me. Drawing yourself back center. We're going to take our knees into our chest. Place your hands on your knees if you like, but all you're going to do is just circle those knees around in the air. You can leave your arms open if you want. You can let your hips rock. Right? We're not controlling the hips this time. But do think about that pelvic floor lift. And start to let your legs explore a little more. We're just seeking some softness and warmth. So maybe you're walking on the moon. Maybe you're a jellyfish. And these are your tentacles just waving in the sea. Just take some time to enjoy movement. And rotating your legs in and out. So it's not just a bicycle pedal, but anywhere. And then go ahead and start a nice reverse bicycle, holding your pelvic floor up. And we're just creating some warmth into the legs and thighs so that we can get a nice deep stretch on them coming up. Reverse. Lifting through your pelvic floor, taking both knees in and sending them out. So double leg stretch, drawing those knees in and sending them out. Just take your time and feel it today. Feel that neutral spine, feel that pelvic floor engaged. And then try it looking like a frog. And your legs can go straight up in the air. Or they can go a little bit lower. Go ahead and wave them a little more. And take them center. Flex them so they're parallel and turn them out. And parallel and turn them out. And parallel and turn them out. Parallel and turn them out. Parallel and turn them out. So we're just warming up the external rotators in the hip sockets. Really turn them in, turn them out, turn them in, turn them out. And go ahead and grab those heels for happy baby pose. So we're letting the knees come down. Near your shoulders towards the mat. And let yourself rock side to side. Soft and fluid. And if it feels good to you, you can grab the ankles and bend your elbows into those knees so that you're drawing your ankles in towards each other and pressing your knees out. And then we're going to bring our feet towards each other. So this is just like the butterfly pose that you do seated on the floor. And then you're going to open it out into happy baby pose. Bring those heels back together. And you might find a little surprise that your inner thighs get some work doing this. Even though it seems like your hands are doing all the work.
The entire known universe floats suspended in a thin silver bowl, which rocks gently on
breathing again.
Blue-green Tortuga.
Gently extending out through those legs.
On the topmost of 7 cranky mountains, which arise from a vast and arid plain of drifting, fetid yellow dust.
And let your feet come down to the earth.
Precariously on the top of a small
and draw your pelvic floor up and your Pilates scoop in and let your knees softly open. And we're going to take our arms up above our heads. We're just going to let our body submit to gravity. The only effort at all is a gentle lift through your pelvic floor. Find your breath.
Like a mote of dust. No one has ever seen it. Some think it's a fish. Some think it's a newt. All we know is that the lonely Bahamut floats endlessly through all time and all space, with all of us and everything floating in a single tear of his eye.
And then I'm going to start to bend and flex each ankle. Here, I'll turn to the side so that I'm getting a little bit of a wiggle, just a gentle wiggle on my hips. Letting those hip sockets open, trying to keep a long lower back. And gently bring up both knees. And roll up through your bridge. And roll back down. Roll up through the bridge. And roll back down. All right, take your core, softly lift it up and in. So it's not pressed all the way high. I want your back to be in neutral. And we're just going to make a little tiny circle with the hips. Pressing into your feet. Notice what feels tight for me today, because my IT bands are really tight this morning. I can feel a lot of tightness on the inside and outside of my knees. So that is what we'll do next, is soften up our IT bands. For now, just working those little hips in a little circle, thoughtfully. Thoughtful circles. All right, roll it on down. And let's take our knees in. And press them tight against the chest, lengthening the lower back. And we're going to take our left legs and cross them over our right legs for number 4 stretch. And I'm really going to press this knee out to the side, even maybe with 2 hands today. So I really want to get a big rotation. And then I'm going to draw in with the other leg. So big stretch right around here on the bent leg. So external rotators are being stretched. And your other leg can be bent or straightened or moved around or whatever makes you happy. I feel like circling this ankle today, so that's my plan. Multitasking. And switch. I'm going to now press the right leg open. Oof. Big deep breaths. And then go ahead and draw your right knee into your chest and place your left foot on the floor. And if you like, you can stretch that leg long. In fact, let's hold right knee snug against yourself and just slowly slide your left leg in and out. And it does not need to extend all the way, but I want you to feel that pathway, how the weight of the leg wants to make your hips go askew. Keep them square, and we're just going to slide it in and out a few times, and then we'll rest in that stretch. So thoughtfulness, thinking about pulling your Pilates scoop softly in, pelvic floor is lifted and hips remain square despite the motion of that leg. It's okay if your long leg doesn't get all the way straight. Good. Let's rest with that leg out, wherever it is that your leg goes. If you're feeling a stretch in this hip flexor here, then that's ideal. You don't need to stretch it straighter. It's going to look a little different on everyone's body, and that's fine. Firm grip, really pressing your right thigh into the chest. All right, soften your left leg if it's not already soft. And we're going to take the right leg across and roll onto the side of the thighs again. And this time, let's reach your same arm as the crossed leg up in the air. Lengthen through the spine, big breath in, and exhale, open out to your right side, turning your chin and face towards the right. So big spinal twist here. Slow your breath. Try to breathe into a released spinal twist. The whole spine is twisting from the tailbone all the way up to the base of the skull. You can even add your eyeballs here and look out past your hand. You might feel an eyeball stretch. Bring your right hand back. I'm going to bring both legs in to come back center. And we're going to pull the left thigh in nice and firmly into your chest and gently put the right foot down. Notice how already your hips are going to want to go whoop following that long leg. We're going to hold them nice and square. We're just going to slide in and out thoughtfully, keeping your mind present in your body. How's your pelvic floor? Remember, we're just being present and witnessing, helping ourselves. It's not about judgment. It's not about any thoughts about like how far you can stretch or how tight you feel. Let those judgments go. just let them pass. Instead, just feel the action, sensation of your foot on the floor, the breath within your rib cage, nourishing yourself with soft, steady motion, gentle support. And let the leg go to your long spot for today, really pulling in the other thigh. Gently take that knee across. And lift your left hand up in the air. Gently open up the chest. Breathe into it. Let whatever feels tight here today, give it time to soften. Give it breath to soften. Huge breaths of oxygen. Couple more deep breaths. And lift that arm up. Bring your body back. Both knees to your chest. Squeeze those legs together and into your chest and let your back return to its flat state on the floor. If it feels good, you can rock side to side. And let yourself roll, fall onto your side. And we're going to take that top leg and tuck the heel behind you, opening up the thigh and a little bit the hip flexor. Just rest your head on the arm, lengthening through the thigh. Finding your breath again. And then if it feels good, while you're in this stretch, maybe think of drawing a circle with your knee. And I mean just like a circle the size of a coffee mug. A tiny little circle. Tiny little circle. Just to explore the stretch. Go ahead and lift and lower that leg. And gently release that leg. Let your hips fall forward. And gently lift your heel up and back behind you. So you're warming up those glutes. Nice long, still torso, lifted, supported. Don't use your back to do this work. Let it really just happen in your butt. Good. And drop that leg down. Open back up, switch sides. Good question. Nope. I was kind of laying on it just now. Can you guys hear me now? Still can't hear me? Let me see if my battery died. No? Not muted. Let me switch. How's that? Can you hear the music still? Can you hear my voice? You can hear me from my screen. Okay. So you can hear my voice and you can hear the music. Yes? Okay. I think my computer's just getting old. One of the plugs is like getting loose, so we're okay? Still can't hear. Can you hear the music, Jaden? I should type if you can't hear. Ha. Okay, so same side you were just on. We're gonna take that heel into the bum and we're gonna put your toes on the floor and fall back to it. And let that knee and thigh open up. So we're trying to get into the hip flexor stretch now. So I'm gonna twist a little bit because this is a bit of a weird situation, yeah? So you can see where I was here. Yeah, that was the first stretch. And I'm gonna let that toe go behind me so that I can start to push the hip open. So I'm trying to tuck that foot behind myself. Open up the thigh, and especially the hip. So if you feel this mostly in the thigh, then probably your hips are really falling back towards the floor. And I want you to squeeze your butt a little bit and push that hip bone up in the air so that the stretch happens between the thigh and the hip bone. And you can experiment with lifting and lowering that knee. And then let your weight come back over and release that leg. And we're gonna take that knee, we're gonna come all the way onto a pigeon pose with that leg now in front. And if you're in your pigeon pose, and it's, if you don't happen to be able to do the splits, you know, like a normal human being, then your pigeon pose is gonna look a lot more out to the side than mine does, and that is totally fine. Wherever your pigeon pose is groovy. There's a difference between doing a pigeon pose with your hip on the ground here versus hip up. So right now I'm doing hip on the ground. And as you get more flexible, they start to look more similar. This one's hip on the ground either way. Up here in the front, you can stack your fists on top of each other. And then you can rest your head on that stack of fists, perhaps. Come up just a little bit. See if you can send that back leg behind you a little bit more. And see if you can scooch your front knee out forward a little bit more so that the shin is aiming towards being parallel with the front of the mat, and then try and lean back down into it, and that'll be a doozy. And again, your back leg might be much wider than where mine is right now. That's fine. It's funny, that wide position is actually much more uncomfortable for me because my tensor fascia lata tends to grip. Everybody's body's different. Go ahead and come to the pigeon on the other side and just notice how different it feels, right? Because we started stretching the other side already. So this back leg might feel a lot more open in this pigeon because we've opened this hip flexor already. Find your breath and see if you can rest on your hands. Scooch that heel forward. Come into a stretch, pigeon stretch with your shin, attempting to be parallel with the front of your mat. Big deep breath. Up, and we're going to come so that that leg that was just in front is going to be on top. And we're going to start just stretching the thigh. Gently rolling it back, placing the top of the foot on the floor, and pressing the hip open. Opening up that thigh. Coming back onto your side and making little circles with that knee. Extend that leg. Let your hips close forward and just lifting up the whole thigh. Not using your back muscles, just your glutes. So one of the ways that I think about making that action not to involve my back is I think about extending my back down long, thinking about that reach, and let just the glute do the work. Relax. Coming back to your back and rolling through that bridge, taking it down. We're going to take your right knee in again, and we're going to extend that leg. So we're going to do an across the body IT band stretch. It's a little bit challenging to find your IT band in a stretch because you have to twist your hips and stretch at the same time. So let's do a little feeling anatomy first. So go ahead and take your hands around your knee. And I'm putting my thumbs on either side of my kneecap here, and then I'm feeling the underside of my knee with my fingers. And you can feel the big tendons and ligaments right here on either side from your hamstrings. It's like guitar strings, yeah? So go ahead and just walk your fingers up the thigh on the back here, and you can feel how those tendons become muscle, yeah? There might be flesh or fat or skin on top of them, of course. Don't let that make you judgy. That's how your body's supposed to be. Yeah, and then on the outside of your leg here, you can feel that big thigh muscle. Just walk your hands around here. And then come back to the front and feel your lateral quadriceps, your outside quadricep muscle. And if you bend and straighten your leg here, you can feel it moving under the skin. So your iliotibial band is a band of connective tissue that connects from the top of your thigh down the outside of your thigh, and it goes to your tibia, which is the outside bone of your shin here, yeah? So it connects across here, and it is, if you're to think about where the cut, so to speak, is the divot, the down point in the muscles here on the side of your leg, that's where your iliotibial band lives, and it's usually quite tight on people. So just go ahead and move your leg and see if you can feel where that divot is or would be, and see if you can feel the muscles shifting and sliding underneath your fingertips there. And this is the thing we want to stretch. So in order to do that, we're going to take the leg across the body. Let's start with leaving both hips down, and we're going to sort of bend and straighten this knee. And the thing that will stop you from getting to your IT band is that often this knee turns in when we cross the body, and so we want this knee to be pointing in parallel or turned out as we bring it across the body to get into this cut place. So you could also think of it as being the place where a stripe on your pants would be. All right, so nice bent knee. We're going to take it across the body. Make sure you're not pointing there. And we're going to lengthen that leg and see if you can feel, I feel sort of my external hamstring stretching in this position, which is not a bad thing to feel. And just bend and straighten your leg here a couple of times. And notice how when you straighten your leg, it tends to want to rotate in. So let's turn again. Yeah, I'm going to keep my leg externally rotated, but as I straighten it, it wants to rotate in. So practicing that. All right, so we're going to use this action together with that spinal twist. So go ahead and take your knee across the body. And let's see if we can build this shape on the floor. So right now, this is my left. This is let's say top leg, yeah? My top leg is bent into my chest. I'm on the side of my torso. And my bottom arm, the elbow is on the floor with my hand stacked up right above the elbow. So it's like I could hold a piece of pizza or a pie on my hand here without dropping it, yeah? And I'm gonna put my leg, my top leg, onto that hand and extend it from there, yeah? Notice how the knee wants to point towards the floor, but we're gonna keep that knee up as you extend through the leg. And I'm thinking about external rotation. I'm thinking about my hip that's on top here. I'm thinking about rolling it down and away from my armpit. Find a big stretch on the outside of your leg here. Go ahead and bend that, bring it in. Let's grab the other side, putting the first knee down and out. And let's just explore the other side. First, massaging the back of the thigh, feeling your tendons in the back of your thigh and how they become the hamstrings. Give them a little love, a little massage if you like. Feeling your quadriceps. And then feeling deep into those muscles while you move the body. So you can feel them slide against each other as some of them contract and some of them lengthen. All right, bend that knee. Roll onto your side. So now your hips up. You can already think about that knee rising and the heel dropping through. And I'm going to shift this arm that's now on the ground. I'm going to shift the elbow out so that it makes a nice little pedestal for my leg to come to. And then I'm going to rotate like a froggy leg, right? Froggy leg. It's not important that your legs should get all the way straight. And then once I find this general position, I'm thinking about drawing my torso back and down. So I'm rotating that hip back and down away from my heel. Breathing. Go ahead and come back to center when you're ready. Slide both legs down, find a nice long spine. And just think about opening up your hip flexors. Maybe reaching one toe long and the other toe long. Making as much space as you can between your thigh bones and your hip bones. And then lying here, internally rotate and externally rotate those thighs. Let's turn them in all the way and squeeze. And turn them out all the way. Squeeze. And rotate them in all the way. Squeeze and hold. Out all the way. Squeeze and hold. Lock those heels in again. And now, this time with your feet wide apart. I know we never do that. Go ahead and roll up into the bridge. And then circle those hips around with your feet wide. Rotate in both directions, taking your time. And roll your back down. And press those legs up into the air. And gently draw them to your chest. Little hip ups. And take your knees to your chest. And rock on up. Go ahead and step your right foot forward. Come up nice and full of right angles. And just rock through your hips. This is our last section here. Really see if you can open that hip flexor. Soft shoulders. Lifting up the body. Finding your breath. Switch legs. Shake out those legs to close. Let it all be jelly. Shake out your chest. Soften. Give your body a little pat. Sometimes I like to grab marshmallows from the marshmallow clouds in the sky. Tap it out. Tapping your shoulders and arms. Big release forward. Roll on up. Stand up and see how those legs and bodies feel. Hopefully a bit warmer and softer. You did it!